Quick, but listen, our political segment is coming on right now. Our political analyst, Lee Bynes, comes back to talk, recapping our top story, the passing of Arizona Senator John McCain, and also the Trump reaction to McCain's death. And joining us now, Lee Bynes. Good to have you, bro.
Well, you know what? I believe his reaction was a non-reaction, and that kind of caused a lot of commotion as the rest of the country has been, there's been an outpouring of respect and for what he did militarily, for what he did politically in the country. You know, a lot of people say he's a hero. I agree with that statement. And for the president to poo-poo it simply because of the fact that they had issues between them, I don't know, it was seemed rather small. Mm-hmm. But moving forward in Arizona, let's face it, we do have to move forward. His spot is going to have to be replaced, and they're in the process of doing that right now. And then there was a major election, primary in Arizona yesterday. And it looks as though that they may be able to find a moderate to fill his spot as opposed to going with one of the a hardcore. He had three representatives in that race. Sheriff Aparo was one of them. Mm-hmm. And if you know his background and what he's been standing for, he only got 20%, and that was like a plus for those with sense.
Let's talk about Washington lawmakers for a minute, because they were talking about the renaming of a building after the senator. Some people felt it was too early. Some people felt the senator should be honored, but not necessarily at the building. Your thoughts?
Well, you know what? I'm not sure that that was like the best idea, but in response to Trump's response, I think the nation wants to do something to let him and let his family know that they respect the contributions that he made. So I believe it was Senator Schumer who actually initiated that. And we'll see where it goes, because a lot of people are saying, well, the left are jumping on all of the positiveness about him just to kind of like make the Republicans look bad. But no, it's a positive thing to do. And if anybody deserves it, it's him.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about midterm elections, which are right around the corner. Obviously, you've got the president still trying to do some backpedaling. You've got Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney, now saying that his job was simply to discredit Robert Mueller.
And quite frankly, he's been doing a very, very good job of it. Up until now, he's turned this thing from a legal matter into a political matter, and the more dirt that he can throw on Robert Mueller's and his investigation, the more they can gin up a lot of Donald Trump's base. But if we just go back and look at what we saw happen last week after the conviction of Manafort, the guilty plea of Michael Cohen, the people who got a pass if they'll work with the Mueller investigation.
Immunity is what you mean.
Right, and got immunity to work with the Mueller investigation. It seems to me that there is a degree of criminality operating out of the White House and the people that are surrounding the president right now. That's literally second to none. And I'm tired of using the word unprecedented, because right now we're seeing some major issues coming down in the future. Now, this investigation, as you mentioned, Giuliani has been pushing for this thing to be over, and force Mueller to provide his report, an assessment on what's been going on as soon as possible. But that I think that investigation still has some legs to go, and there's a lot more people that need to be spoken to. So if they have to table any public action until after the elections, then that's probably what's going to happen, but it is not going to be over by any stretch.
So let's ask the question, does this rattle anything in the midterm elections? I mean, we saw a big win in Florida yesterday, you know, a huge win in the Democratic primary, and now you've got some other questions that are being asked as to whether or not all of this is happening in Washington, D.C. will actually trigger a big blue response in a couple of weeks.
Well, you know what? I'm anticipating a blue wave coming. But again, what happened in Florida last night gives a lot of people pause, because the Democrats still seem to be out of sync with themselves. Andrew Gillum, first black man to run for the governorship of Florida. Bernie Sanders, progressive, 100% on looking out for Medicare and Medicaid expansion for all $15 an hour, universal, of course, the universal health care situation. And because he's taken all of these stances, he actually beat out 3 other Democrats that the established wing of the party were looking to take the lead on that. So why is that important? Because Governor Cuomo is going to debate Cynthia Nixon tonight. Cynthia Nixon is an avowed progressive herself. Governor Cuomo, 2 terms in office, is looking for a 3rd term. I'm very much interested to see how that debate goes tonight, because I want to know how far to the left can Cynthia Nixon drag Governor Cuomo, if she's able to do that. Now, here's the deal. I don't want to count this young woman out just yet, because she doesn't have that much money. She has name recognition, but he's got the power, he's got the dough, he has the backing of the Democratic Party. But down in Florida, that was a similar circumstance that happened with Andrew Gilliam. He only had $6 million in his war chest to work with, whereas the people who were running against him had a combined $90 million, and he still won with a progressive message. So the Democrats have still got a little bit of homework to do, a little bit of cleaning up to do before they could call this a major win. And they're going to have to find a way to come together as a one party before it's too late.
Well, I think you talked a little bit about this here. You talk about on the GOP side, the question is, how are things going to play out for them, given the fact the Trump factor playing into the midterm elections. Some people say that the president already has his base and nothing's going to knock that and things are going to be business as usual. On the Democratic side, though, you also find that a lot of the Democratic base is now being challenged as well.
Exactly.
We saw in this area Joe Crowley, who was expected to be, a hands down winner.
Shoo-in, absolutely.
Right. He now gets upset. Is there something that is brewing in America that maybe more people need to be paying attention to?
Bottom line, I think one of the reasons why the progressives are beginning to have some decent showings is because people in America, whether you're white or black, whether you're red or blue, people are tired of being poor. They're looking for somebody who's going to deliver not a decent minimum wage, but a living wage. There is a difference between that, and that shows in the expansion of, well, the shrinkage of the middle class and the expansion of the struggling class, because a lot more people are struggling. And again, it has nothing to do with the blue state versus red state. If you are poor in New York, you're poor in California, you are just poor. And so there is a move right now, and I have a feeling that Florida could down in Florida, because the young man who won last night for governor is going to be going up with a Trump candidate. Trump put his hand on the scale for DeSantis, and DeSantis is fully along with Trump's propaganda and his program. So we're going to actually see a race that's going to determine which way this country is really thinking, and that's the focal point. That's going to be really important to see.
Traditionally a red state, but anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And look what's happening in Georgia right now. We have a black woman who's going to be running for the first time, and could have a very, very strong possibility. The Republicans are so nervous, they tried to shut down 7 of the 9 polling places in a particularly strong black district. And although that was shut down within 6 minutes, they were the council that governs these things shut it down within 6 minutes. The idea that they're so desperate to try is what made it very interesting. And not only that, but President Trump is actually nervous as well, because he's been out there fear-mongering for the last couple of days, talking about, well, if I get impeached, the stock market is going to crash and everybody's going to be poor. If the Democrats lose, it's going to be violence in the streets. So he's out there letting his base know this is what could happen if you guys don't get out and vote and make sure that Republicans keep the House. He really is afraid of what's inevitably going to happen, because if the Democrats do win, impeachment will be on their agenda. No doubt about it. They're saying right now, and keeping very, very cool about it, let's stick with the major issues.
But after November.
But after November, it's what the constituents really want.
Right. Lee Bynes, that's what I bring in.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. Our political analyst, Lee Bynes. You can check him here every week here on Open. Listen, stay with us. We got more show coming up. We'll be right back right after this.